Let's be real, life doesn't always glow. Sometimes it unravels. This is Hot Mess Unfiltered, where self-love gets real, relationships get messy, and healing gets loud. We're talking about all of it: love, boundaries, triggers, growth, the patterns you keep repeating, and the truth you keep avoiding. Whether you're a man, woman, lover, fighter, overthinker, or "I'm done, but let me check my phone one more time," this is for you. Expect laughs, clarity, hard truths, and real healing. If you're ready to grow, glow, cry a little, laugh a lot, and finally love yourself harder, press play. Hot Mess Unfiltered. We heal out loud.
And we want to welcome you all to the Hello Plaza in the Metaverse 3D. And this, my friends, is the brand new Hello Plaza that we encourage you all to come and join us and be a part of this amazing experience. And we want to welcome you all to the Hot Mess Unfiltered podcast with Denise King. And Miss Denise, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you here. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about this closure trap. Everyone says that you need closure after a breakup. Your therapist say it, your friends say it, social media tells you. But what if it's all bullshit? In this episode, we're calling out this closure myth, exploring why chasing it for that final conversation might be keeping you stuck, re-traumatized, and unable to actually move on. We'll talk about what closure really is, why it rarely works the way we all think it does, and what actually helps you heal when your ex ghosts you, lies to you, or just refuses to give you the answers you deserve. This one's unfiltered, uncomfortable, and necessary. Welcome to Hot Mess Unfiltered. I am your host, Denise King, and joining me today is David Jones, the CEO of Hello LLC. Welcome, David.
Yes, ma'am. It is always a pleasure. And yes, we're going to keep this real, raw, and unfiltered. So buckle up, Buttercup. We're about to keep it real. And it's so good to be back with you as a co-host. Your amazing podcast. If you guys haven't had a chance to go listen to it, I highly encourage you to go listen to it. And we'll actually be playing it on replay in Denise's brand new metaverse space in here as well, that you guys can come and visit. But with this conversation, I am glad we are having this conversation because for me, in the past, it has been what happened. What if there was one more conversation? And even now, being with Tara, that one more conversation is, hey baby, we got to do something different, or this isn't going to work. And that one more conversation for me is really, do you want to make this altering shift, change for your life, or do you want to do what needs to be done to change for the betterment and good for you, because you're going to continue to have this issue, this problem. And that's a lot of the time something that, we need to talk about, is having that conversation with ourselves, more importantly, and with the other person, and be honest of how we showed up and who we were being and what we were doing and what traumas and dramas played out in our lives and the reactions that we took place. So let's get to it.
You're so right, David. So here's a question I have for everyone. How many of you are waiting for closure right now? Well, if while you're listening to this podcast, you're scrolling through your ex's Instagram or Facebook or whatever, now don't lie, I know you are. And you're telling yourself, if I could just have that one more conversation, if they would just explain why things ended, then you could understand what went wrong, and then you can move on. Now, let me just tell you this. This whole closure thing and having this last conversation is bullshit. It's not true. It doesn't help anything. Now, because that need for that closure conversation is keeping you stuck. So you might be a little uncomfortable with this, but let's go. Okay, let's get started. So, where does this obsession with closure come from? Well, it comes from, we look at the movies on TV where they break up and then they go in the restaurant and have this conversation and they close everything out and everybody's just fine. That's called fantasy. Then you have some self-help books that promise resolution if you follow the steps for closure. And then you have social media. Now, it sounds good because we want to have resolution. That's how our brains are wired. And our brains hate uncertainty and ambiguity. But the fantasy of understanding equals a fantasy of control. You're trying to control the situation, and it feels mature to evolve, and you're getting to be this bigger person by seeking closure. But I'm gonna ask you, David, do you believe we actually need closure from the person who hurt us, or are we conditioned to believe that we need that final conversation in order to move on?
When you were sharing that, you're spot on. The last conversation is bullshit. I'll be real and authentic. And my last relationship before Tara, you know, my she decided to go buck wild crazy and unscrew the bathroom door handles on the bathroom and come in the bathroom and push me into the bathtub, and it was all out craziness, and I literally had to grab all of her shit that night, and throw all of her shit in her room with her kids and say, you got to go. There was no conversation needed. There was none of that shit. It was done. That was all. That was the conversation. Being that was the second time that she had unhinged the doorknob from the bathroom door where I locked myself in the room. So I am one of those guys. My big ass was one of those people that was the victim of the other one being the physical one and the other one being aggressor. And it does happen the other way around. And so, no, there was no more damn conversations that need to be done, especially after, what she did and how she did, which was dirty, at the end of the day. And so, no, if there had, like I said, if there had been another conversation, that's where, we get talked into, don't leave, I'll make up, I'll do this, I'll do that. And it ends up being another shit show, and
Yeah,
then,
that's a good what you said right there. Because what happens is when you're looking for this closure and you're having this last conversation, you're not looking for closure. A lot of people are, and I'm not talking about in your situation. They're looking for that one opportunity where they make and say the right thing and keep that relationship going. But the fact of the matter is, the person that treated you like shit, know they treated you like shit. They know exactly what they did. So they're not going to be honest with you when you go back and try to sit down and have an adult conversation. It's not going to happen. And that's the myth. People believe that that's how it's going to be. And the only closure conversation that you need is one foot in front of the other and leaving that crap alone, because all it does is keep you stuck. And let's play our first video, and they talk about this in that video. And that's the point. You're looking for that one more conversation that is going to keep you stuck. Now, what about this? Sometimes we're going to have, you think you're going to have this closure conversation and you're going to talk to this person that treated you bad, that ghosted you, that was very ambiguous in their conversations and their relationship with you, or they may actually refuse to talk to you, or you'll have a scene like what David had. It doesn't work. And I'm going to tell you that that closure conversation puts you in a position where, let's just say that this person does want to continue to talk to you, but they make it so they can spin the block on you, so they can come back. And what makes you think that they're going to do anything different this time around than what they did the first time? And I'm gonna tell you what makes me just want to scream, because we act like, what David was talking about was, that's not the normal case. Most breakups don't involve two mature adults sitting down for a calm conversation. That's not a reality. The reality is messy, cruel, and unfair. And sometimes when you go in there and you want them to tell you, well, what did I do wrong? Or where did it go wrong? There's a one big problem. If you're leaving this person, there had to be some asshole foolery in it to start with. What if when you say that, they hurt your feelings? People don't think about that. They don't think that this person is going to come up and tell them something that is going to absolutely destroy your self-esteem. So my question is, why are you putting your self-worth in the hands of someone else? That's not what you need to be doing. If it's over, it's over. People think that they can go in there and they can, kind of stay in touch with this toxic person. Why would you? Or they get stay there and be re-traumatized. Only those conversations are only going to bring back the pain. They're not going to help you. Or there's a false hope of promise that, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do better. You had your chance. And I'm sure you had many chances to do better, and you didn't take advantage of any one of them. You're not seeking closure, you're seeking validation. You want the person that did you dirty and treated you wrong to validate that you're a good person. If they thought you were a good person, I promise you, you wouldn't have a need for this conversation, because you would still be in the relationship. You want them to tell you you mattered and say you were enough and it wasn't your fault. It ain't happening. And I just need you to understand, it's not gonna happen, because you're trying to seek contact, hopeful. You're putting yourself out there so that you can be stepped on again, and you don't want to do that. So I want you to ask yourself, if you're currently in this cycle, what am I really hoping will happen? And be honest. Are you seeking closure, or are you seeking something else? And if you're seeking something else, like a second chance, my question to you is, why the hell do you want that? They already showed you who they are. That closure thing, it doesn't work. It makes things worse. So you say, well, if that's the happening, what am I supposed to do instead? Take your ass out the door and take care of yourself. Don't put your self-worth in someone else's hands. But David, why do you think people keep going back to an ex over and over again, claiming they want closure, when what they really want is this validation, reconciliation, and proof that they matter that I was talking about?
You know, I look back on my, you know, relationships, and there's never been I guess there would be when I went to college, and then I came back. I guess I got back with my ex, but that was the only one situation that happened. And once I was done, I was done. There was, and like you said, that there ain't no smooth breakup. Regardless of the matter, the shit don't work. People go separate ways. Things happen, and it's always treacherous. It's always bad. It's always on bad terms. That's why it's an X. And I mean, you would hope, and then when you get to being older, an adult, that's where, divorce comes into play, especially at the age that we're at now. And, not being married, but being with Tara for 15 years, there are some obligations that we have together, especially as a business and keeping our business in set. So there is in set, a conversation that needs to be, said. And it just comes down to, I believe, just people being onerous of how they show up. And like you said, if you did some shit, then you should be willing to change it during our relationship, not afterwards. It doesn't matter now. I could care less what you do and how you do, and thank you for all the, you say you're going to change, but that doesn't matter now. I heard one quote the other day that said, we get old too quick and we wait too late. And that's what happens in relationships, is that we get wise way too late at the end of the day.
You're right. And I remember there was one thing that my grandma used to say: do not allow a man to tell you twice that he doesn't want you. And when I say that, people say, well, he didn't say that. He doesn't have to say it. People pay so much attention to words. I think you need to pay attention to the actions. You have to pay attention to how somebody treats you. They may have never said that, but you know by their actions that that's what they mean. And what if you do sit down for this last conversation and you get your feelings hurt? You're told you're not enough, your sex ain't good enough, you're ugly, you're fat. Was that last conversation really worth that? What you're feeling now in order to have that conversation? Hell no, it's not. It's not. Again, you're putting your self-worth in the hands of another person. And just to be let you know, that person knows that's what you're doing. So they are going to feed on that and feed on that, and they're going to be as ugly and nasty as they're supposed to. I have some friends that say they're still friends with their ex. And I say, good for you. But if you didn't treat me wrong, you can't be in my space. You can't have access to me. That's not going to happen. And that goes in as far as we're talking about relationships with friends and with family. I have someone that I was friends with for a long time. And then I finally woke up and realized that that friendship wasn't working for me. That friendship wasn't good for me. And when I called to have that conversation, all I got was a bunch of lies and fairy tales. And to this day, I will treat you as a human if I see you on the street, but you will not be allowed to have access to me like that anymore. So you got to be careful when it's like, well, we can still be friends. If you don't have any young kids, or some reason that or own a business together or something like that, sometimes you need to leave well enough alone, because what it does is it will put you in a spiral and you will keep going back and doing the same dumb shit again and allowing people to walk on you. But, when you
Facts.
get that brutal truth, right? Can knowing the truth actually make healing harder, David?
Well, David Jones is my name, and telling the motherfucking truth is my game. And people don't like the truth, and the truth always will hurt. And there is a certain time, there's a certain place to say it. And even when you were talking about, the name calling, and the going back and forth, especially during an argument or at the end of a relationship, we both have to be aware of what we said. And in a relationship, both people know what to say to each other at that particular moment. And a lot of the times we forget what we said first to that person, and we only hold on to what they said to us. And we forget that, your words carry weight as well. And a lot of the times, what I find, especially from you women, is when you talked about gaslighting from our very first episode. Yeah, you women gaslight shit first and then get mad at us that we come back with fire.
Hmm.
So, so don't cough, don't clear your throat. And so, that is where we both have to be accountable of, our words. And really, at the end of the day, when we do get in an argument, it is also about forgiving. It is about also letting go and not having the resentment that continues to fester and then changes your attitude, changes your energy, changes how you show up in the relationship because you're holding on to what somebody else said, but you're forgetting what you said. And that happens in relationships, that happens in friendships, that just happens in communication and essence and all.
Well, I always say that it takes two people to ruin a relationship. And it may be that you're coming back based on something that someone said. And I'll tell you now, I can have a really slick mouth at times. So I have to make sure of if my husband comes back at me, oh, hell, what did I say? Hopefully it's the day I remember. Because sometimes when you're going so fast, you don't remember. However, again, we are in committed relationships. These people were supposed to be in committed relationships. And I agree with you. Men and women gaslight because I'm speaking from a woman's point of view, but there are women out there that are just as treacherous as these men are. And so I will give you that. But when you get that response you don't like, you ask for it because you went there. You went there for that ass kicking when you should have left it alone. Some people say, "Well, I need the closure because I need to forgive him, and only way that I'll be able to forgive him is to have closure." If you would play this next video, and we're gonna talk about this forgiveness bullcrap. Right. So you're not really asking for forgiveness from that person. I don't know that they're capable of giving it, but I think you need to forgive yourself for allowing yourself to stay in a situation that absolutely destroys you and hurts you. And that's where the forgiveness comes in. Now, you can forgive them. That's up to you. That's fine. You don't want to carry that burden. I got it. But you ain't got to tell them that you forgave them. You just need to forgive them within yourself because it's a you experience. Now, I'm going to tell you what actually works instead of this last closure conversation. By the time that you get to that point, the only thing that works for you is time, physical and digital distance, and therapy. But now, not the kind of therapy that does this whole closure bit, the kind of therapy that helps you accept those questions that you don't have answers to. Um, it's not going to be focused on getting closure from your ex. It needs to be focused on you building your future, understanding your past so that you don't make those same mistakes again. The goal is to be okay without knowing, because understand, not everyone's going to be willing to sit down and have that conversation with you. They're going to just leave you out there floating. And if you continue in that cycle and you're looking at their stuff, and you continue being friends with their friends, you're going to stay into this cycle of dismay and frustration. And I don't mean you harm. Life is too short. While you're wasting your time doing all of that, the person that is meant for you may pass you by. So you need to make sure that you're worrying about yourself. You don't have to know why it happened, why they left. Look, just chalk it up to they were sick of me and move on. Or just chalk it up to we were unevenly yoked. We didn't have the same goals. We didn't have the same aspirations. We didn't have what we needed to make that relationship work. So why are you going to keep trying to go back to it? If someone tells you they don't want you, Accept it, because anything that you stay for after that is self-inflicted. But here's the one question I want to ask. What if closure isn't something that someone else gives you? What if closure is a decision you make for yourself and strictly decide, I'm done? That's the best kind of closure. Stop putting your future and your thoughts and your heart in the hands of someone else to decide how you feel. You're an adult. Even if you don't get your answers, even if they don't want to sit down with you, how about think about it this way? Not needing closure is actually a sign of strength. Accepting that you're not going to get those answers, or the stupid answers that they may give you, like, it's not me, it's you, that kind of dumb stuff. How about accepting that ambiguity as emotional maturity and use it for that? And if moving on without those answers, accept that as growth, not failure. And what if you're not broken for not getting closure, but you evolve into a different person? Because I believe that we learn from each relationship that we have been in. And we need to take those things that we learn, the things that we shouldn't do, don't do them again, or at least minimize them. Because sometimes you can't say, I'm not going to ever do it again, but work on it. And use that information to know, wait a minute, I need to step differently this time out. Because it doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean the relationship didn't matter to you, or that you're a cold person. But you don't need your ex's permission to release you from this cycle that you're in. You don't need their explanation. You don't need their apology. You don't need their validation, and damn sure don't need their blessing. You don't need that final conversation, because I'm going to tell you something. While you're sitting around waiting for that final conversation, your ex has moved on. I want to tell you, and this guy here really tells exactly what it's like for your ex partner while you're home stewing and upset. This is what he's really doing. So, can you play that next video? I think he summed that up wonderfully. You're worried, they're not, they've gone on with their life, and you're still sitting there pining. So I'm gonna ask you, David, what if closure isn't something someone else gives you? What if closure is a decision you make for yourself and you simply decide, I'm done?
It's your life. You got to live it for you. At the end of the day, you got to keep moving and making sure that you gave it your all, and you did what you needed to do, and you kept your promise. And at some point, you have to get to a stance where, hey, this person's just not going to give me what I need, or it's just not going to work, or these patterns or these things that keep happening are going to end up like one of my best friends told me. He said, David, you're going to have three choices, brother. You're going to A, be in the hospital, B, your ass is going to be in jail, or C, all the above. And when he told me that, that to bust a move. And that's really where it's at. And not just from a man's point of view, but also from a woman's point of view of, where your livelihood is, and what is right for you. And so often we're looking for these closures in somebody else, just like we're looking for the happiness, just like we're looking for the peace and the grace and the love from other people, when it needs to be coming from us, because you can't love nobody if you don't love yourself. And so often we're pointing the finger at other people of why it's not working, when it's us that ain't working, and we're not doing what we said we would do, and not doing the shit that we said we wouldn't do anymore, and wondering why the shit don't work, because you're not doing what you said. And so this is where the extreme ownership into, that it's not just that person, it's your ass as well. So a lot of the times, especially in today's society, we think that, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, let me remind your ass, the grass is only greener where your ass waters it at. And if you're not watering yourself, then how do you expect to be watering all the other flowers around you and somebody else? And so this is where you have to be one with you and take that time, as you didn't get that closure conversation, and focus on you, and stop worrying about what other people are worried about, and get back to you. That's what I got.
So what you're saying is that the person that hurt you is the last person that you should be looking for to heal you.
Yeah, that shit, you where you at because of them. You at where you at because of you at the end of the day. And it's really, and once again, it's not because of them. It's you. It's what you allow and what you don't allow, and the boundaries that you set, right? And once
Right.
again, your ass did something that you shouldn't have did. And like you said, it takes two to ruin a relationship. It's not just one person, right? It
And
takes two.
you're right. And it could be that you were giving and giving and giving in that relationship, but it doesn't matter how much you give if that person doesn't want the relationship. So that forgiveness that woman comes back is you forgiving yourself for not being able to see that I should have left this a long time ago, and I've wasted too much of my time in a situation that wasn't going to work for me. So if this is you, okay, here's my challenge. The next time someone tells you you need closure, I want you to call bullshit, and I want you to be out loud with it and say it with me. I don't need closure. I need to move on. And you keep saying that until you believe it. So here's the deal, right? Closure's a myth. It's a trap. Most of the time, you won't get the explanations you want. You won't get the apology you deserve or are looking for. You won't get that final conversation where everything makes sense. And you know what? You're gonna be okay without it. You don't need it. You're going to heal anyway. You're going to build your new life anyway. You're going to fall in love again anyway. And you're going to look back on that moment and realize that not getting closure was the best thing that could have happened to you, because it forced you to stop waiting. It forced you to take your power back, and it forced you to create your own ending. You don't need your ex to release you. Release yourself. Stop texting. Stop checking Instagram. Stop hoping for that conversation and waiting for permission to move on. Deciding you're done right now, today, and then build what comes next. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. If this made you uncomfortable, good. If you're pissed at me right now, even better. Sit with it. Think about it. And then do something about it. And if you need to hear this again, go to my website at cdkingnaturals.com. You can also go to YouTube, and you can be in Instagram, and you can listen to this podcast. If you look at the podcast that I've done since I started, I've given you all the tools you need to be able to walk away from this bad relationship and still flourish so that you'll know next time to look for the red flags. I did a podcast on that. Know how to set boundaries and why it's not mean to set boundaries. You know how to stop loving people that aren't ready for you. All of those are in there. Those podcasts are in there. And if you don't need it, send it to someone that you know that does. Share this podcast because there are a lot of people out there that really could use this information but don't know where to go get it. Well, I'm telling you, come here and get it. Go to my Biz in the Box on my website. I have self-help books. I have journals. I have tools for you to use to get to where you are putting yourself and loving yourself first. So that's it. That's the episode. And if you need to hear it again, I already told you how to do it. This has been Hot Mess Unfiltered, and I'm Denise King. And thanks to my co-host, David Jones. David, would you like to tell them anything about yourself and your business and how they can contact you?
Sure, absolutely. You guys can go to thehellowllc.io and come learn more about the 3D experience, and definitely go visit cdkingnaturals.com and go learn about her amazing Biz in a Box. More than a website, go and get that free chapter of the up and coming new book that she didn't talk about, but I'm excited. You should be excited. Go get that first chapter. It is on its way, and definitely go look at all the amazing podcasts and go get your apparel as well as the amazing journals that Denise has as well for you guys to go and do your journaling and write these amazing, things and thoughts that you should be getting rid of your ex and telling his ass kick to the curb or vice versa. But we love you guys. Keep being amazing. Be ready for episode 8, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys, this has been Hot Mess Unfiltered. I want you to stay messy, stay real, and stop waiting for that closure that's not coming. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Let's be real. Life doesn't always glow. Sometimes it unravels. This is Hot Mess Unfiltered, where self-love gets real, relationships get messy, and healing gets loud. We're talking about all of it. Love, boundaries, triggers, growth, the patterns you keep repeating, and the truth you keep avoiding. Whether you're a man, woman, lover, fighter, overthinker, or I'm done, but let me check my phone one more time, this is for you. Expect laughs, clarity, hard truths, and real healing. If you're ready to grow, glow, cry a little, laugh a lot, and finally love yourself harder, press play. Hot Mess Unfiltered. We heal out loud.